Hello everyone, Cutie Vamp here, and for this video I was requested to do a coloring tutorial. Now, I'm not the greatest at this, I have way too many steps and whatnot, but I will do my best and hopefully you're able to follow along. So the first step is to have your line art ready. Get your image from sketch form to line form. So as you can see, my little sketch, she's so cute. And then you'll have your line art, and once you get to this step you're ready to start coloring. Now I like to have everything on its own layer, so I have the line art layer over here on its own, and then I also will have a folder set for my coloring, and I'm going to name that colors. And then after that I will start layering all the colors separately, so the skin, the hair, the eyes, so on and so forth. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and get my colors, all the base colors lined up, and then I will be right back to show you how I do the eyes. Okay, so now that the base colors are done, I am going to go in and show you how I do the eyes. The eyes I always start with, they're my favorite part of shading. The eyes just bring so much life to the drawing, so the more detail you add in them, the better. Don't add too much for a simplified piece like this though, but you know what I mean. Just add enough to where it brings out some life. I like to go in and shade with a pink color, probably like, I think I'm gonna go with that. I use a clipping mask and I go on multiply. Now to use a clipping mask, it's simple. Most programs have them. So basically you come over here and you click a new layer. This is Psi 2, so it's a little different, but I mean it's still the same for Psi, and it'll be a little different from other programs. But you'll find the new layer and then clipping group for the layer above the eyes, and that's going to be your shading layer. You're going to have multiply as your mode, and it should still be the same for Photoshop, Procreate, etc. I like to use the brush setting. Now I have altered it a little bit. You can check out my settings over here, and yeah, basically just follow those settings and you will be able to shade like I do. Practice makes perfect. Now what I like to do is go in with the first layer and get just the pupils and then the darker highlight in, and then I'll change this and make it a little lighter. Now I'll go in and add another multiply layer on a clipping mask, and I will fill in the pupils again so that I have a deeper layer. And again, change the opacity just a hair. Next, I'll also open another layer as a clipping mask, and this time I'm going to use Shine, and I'm going to use a bright blue since the eye is a blue. I'm just gonna go in and add the little eye shines down here. And then I'll change the opacity so that they're not completely white, but they're more of a lighter blue. Then on a new layer again, clipping mask and Shine again. We're gonna go in with the same color and I think the 80 size brush. You're gonna go in and add the massive highlight at the bottom. Now it looks crazy now, but once you change the opacity, it really brings some life into the character. Now I like to go in and use a pink as an extra highlight at the top. Just add just a little bit. New layer, clipping group. Shine again. I think Shine. Not too sure. I'll have to double check. I usually mess around with the settings on this one. And I'll use the brush tool. Just come in here and just draw in some little bitty eye shines. These are not the finalized eye shines, the big ones that you usually see on the character. These are just the cute little ones just to add a little bit of extra color and detail. Now after that, I like to go in and do the eye whites, new layer, clipping group, on multiply, go back to that purple that you were using. It's easier if you keep it on its own thing and rotate it down so that you don't accidentally get rid of the color that you're using. I like to use the same color throughout the whole thing. I know some people don't do that, and what they'll do is they'll take the color and just darken that color, and that's fine and all, but this is just how I like to do it. So we'll go in here, add a little bit of color, new layer, clipping, multiply, and this time you're going to grab the airbrush and you're going to just do some darker shading in and then bring that down. Merge these two layers and then go mess with the hue and saturation. And I always do this with the eyes, and it's only the eyes that I do it with, but I'll go in and I'll edit the color from the normal shading that I just did, because everything else will be that same shade. But this one I'll just change up a little bit. I think I'm gonna go with this purpley blue instead of that bright purple. And I usually don't do it in this order, but for today I'm going to go ahead and do the big white eye shines that I like to do. And the reason I'm going to do that now is because usually I have a habit of forgetting lately to do them at the end. So I like to draw the big shine. And I like to go in and put a little heart down in the bottom. You're going to change the opacity just a hair on it. New layer. Don't worry about it being a clipping mask. Go to shine. And I'm going to be using a pink. It's going to be really bright, but you're going to turn that down, and then you're also going to just edit the shine layer underneath the main one so that you can see through it. And then you're going to just color them in so you can see them standing out. And just edit it until you get to what you like. And that's about it for the eyes. That's what I like to do anyway. I love the eyes. They're the best part to color, and they're my absolute favorite. Now after that, we're going to go in and do the skin. It's going to be basically the same thing as the eyes with the new layer clipping group. Multiply. And you're going to go in with the brush tool. And then alter the level that you want the shading to be at. I like to keep it between 30 and 40. And for this one, I'm going to be going in, shading all of this. My light source is going to be coming in from the upper left this time. And personally, I think with images like this, it's best to choose an upper left or upper right, just based on the way the face is pointing. You can do more complex shading and stuff. I just like doing that for these. It helps the image stand out more, in my opinion. But yeah, you can do whatever you feel like. That's just how I like to do it. And then don't forget the nose, because even the chibi's little noses have to be shaded. And then I like to shade the upper and the lower portion of the lip just to give it more volume. Now I'm going to go in and finish shading the rest of the skin on the first layer, and I will come back as soon as that's done and show you how I do the second layer and the soft shading. Okay, so now we're ready to go in and do the second layer of the shading for the skin. And what you're going to do is same brush, same shadow color. You're going to go into the darkest parts, and then again keep it between like 40 and 30. And then you're going to get the darkest parts and shade in where you would like to throw some extra detail in and depth. And you're going to do that all over the body. Now, it'll be a little bit like over here, probably right here has some depth, here as well, probably this little part of the arm. And don't worry if you go over on your clipping mask, just erase it, it's not a big deal. And now, when you get down to the skirt area, now there is going to be a lot more depth when it comes to this portion where the skirt is. So what you're going to want to do is shade in here, just like that. Same thing over here. And what I do is I basically trace over everything exactly how it is for the skirt, because it's going to be pretty dark showing through that skirt, because this is a dark skirt. It's not like it's a white skirt where it would like a flowy skirt where it would show a little bit of light through it. Since it's so dark, you don't have to worry about that. And now I'm going to go in with another layer, multiply with the airbrush, same color again. change that to about 30 something. We'll go with like, yeah, 36, I guess. And what I like to do is take my little lasso tool and block off beneath the neck to add just a little bit more depth right there. Actually, I'm going to make it a little bit lighter. I totally forgot this part under the arm. I'm so sorry. Let's get this in here. Go back to the shading. Hit more of the darker parts like under the skirt. Not that big, sorry. Yeah, we'll go like this. And then same thing with a little bit back here on the face. A little bit in here. And we're gonna hit right around the hairline. Just to give it a little bit of depth right there. Then after that, what I like to do is another layer clipping mask. And I like to go in and do my small details like my blush, lip glosses, etc. Just small little details and get that in there. For the blush, I like to use the airbrush. Is it this one? Blots. This one. Yeah, it's different on the Psy too. So there's blots and noise, blots, bristle, water blur, or whatever. I like to use the blots tool and go in, make that a multiply, and trying to find the right size. Just go in like so. Add a bit of blush, then change this back to a simple circle, go back in the middle, and then just bring this to the color that you would like it to be, whether it's a light blush, a very bright embarrassed blush, whichever one you pick, it'll look great. And then I do that same thing, but just with the round brush, the no texture for the airbrush. I'll go in on the shoulders, again lassoing this area off. I'll go into the elbows as well. I like doing the elbows as the blush. It just brings back a little bit of life. A little bit in the chest. And I normally would do the knees as well, but her knees are actually covered in the stockings. So that's a different subject that we'll get into later on with what I will do with that. After that, I go in and I do my highlighting, go to the shine clipping mask. I like to make it white personally, and I will go in and do some little shines here. And I'm using the wrong brush, my bad. I like to use the regular brush tool for this. And you'll go in and do the little cheeks, a little bit on the shoulders. And then what you'll do is you'll change the opacity just a bit, do some on the lips. I do this before I go in and I color the lips themselves with the multiply tool to give them just a little bit more life and make them stand out a bit more. That step is optional. You don't have to do it, but it's just what I like to do. And then I'll also go along the edges of the face, and I'm going to go around and highlight every little edge to bring it out, give it a little bit of detail. Now I like to add the lighting on both sides. It gives it the two source lighting view, where you have one main light and then your source light in the back. We'll finish this up over here. And then we'll get into doing the lips. Okay, so for the lips, I like to go in on the separate layer, I'm sorry, and clipping group and multiply, and I like to choose a pinky tone, and I'll just go with a really bright pink with the brush tool, and I'll go in and draw out where I want the lips to be. And I'll constantly be flipping to make sure that it is exactly the shape that I want them. Sometimes they don't come out exactly how I want them, and it's a little frustrating, but it happens, and you just do what you can. And if you hear my dog in the background playing with his toy, I'm sorry. He just likes playing with his little Kong. And now that I have the shape that I would like, I'll take the layer and I'll change the opacity down until I find a good balance. Yuki, you play with your toy? Yeah. I'll do another layer, multiply, same color, and I'll go on top of the bottom lip. And I will go back in here and just have that darkened just a bit. I'll merge that down, and then I'll take that layer and put it beneath the shine so that the shine stands out more. And then on top of that shine layer, I'll do another clipping group on shine as a bright pink. He's still playing with his toy. And then I'll go back on top of the lips and then erase off where I don't want that shine to be. And then I'll just tone it down a bit. Now on top of that multiply layer beneath the first shine layer, you'll open it as multiply and choose a dark red. Go in with the airbrush tool and just get like the bottoms of the lips detailed in right where the mouth is going to come in, and just draw in your little shape that you want to use, and then turn the opacity down just a bit. And that'll give it some depth. And now for this character specifically, I am drawing my friend Pinky. I will have a link to her channel in the description and a card up on the screen right now. But for her, I'm going to go in new clipping layer on top of all of those, and I'm going to be doing some eyeshadow. Now for her character, I will be using a bright blue. No, I take that back. A purple for the outer corners. I'm just going to draw those in. Don't worry, I know it looks crazy right now, but once you blend everything out, it'll look really nice. And then a bright pink. And then I'm going to blend those in to each other just a bit. And then I'm going to take the opacity, turn it down, and get it to where I want it. And then I'm going to go into filter, blur, Gaussian blur, and just mess with the radius of the blur to get it to where I would like it to be. And then I'm going to turn the opacity back up just a little bit to bring that color back. And I'm going to take this and move it all the way down so that it's just on top of the skin and still below the shading so that it doesn't affect it at all. And also with her character, I am going to go in on the very top again, open a new layer, have it on shine, choose a bright pink, and we're going to do a little bit of highlight on the cheeks. And then turn that down just a bit. Now I'm constantly looking back and forth between my computer screen and my tablet to make sure that it is a good amount and not too in your face, because the color differences between my monitor and the Cintiq 13 HD tablet are pretty different. So I usually just go back and forth between those until I find a good balance. And then what I'm going to do is, I don't know if I want to use shine or screen. You know what? I take that back. We're going to use screen at 100%, and then we're going to leave it the way it is. And it gives it a little bit of detail. And then find your blush layer. So mine is right here. On top of that, it's going to automatically make it an opacity, or a clipping group, a clipping group layer. And then you're going to go in with the brush tool on a dark red. You're going to use about a 9, at least for this size canvas, you're going to use a 9. And my canvas is like 2000, maybe a little bit less. I had to alter it to fit a little bit better. So you're going to take that and then you're going to change the opacity down pretty low to where you can barely see it. You're going to put that on multiply. And then that is it for the skin shading. Now I'm going to go in and do the 2 layers of shading on the rest of the layers, and then I'm going to come back right when I get to the hair and I will show you what I do with the hair. So here's a little time lapse. so now that I'm done with the main shading, I wanted to go in and do a little bit more of the highlighting on the clothing. And then I did want to show you a nice little technique that I've been using lately for the tights. So for, there they are. For the tights, on top of your multiplying layers, go ahead and make a new layer as a clipping mask. And then go in and copy the skin tone. And with your airbrush, at the knees where the tights are going to be the tightest for the bends, you're going to go in there and then just change the opacity just a little bit. And it gives it that nice little touch. And I'll go to filter, blur, Gaussian blur, and then blur them as much as you need. And then again, alter the opacity again. Now what I'm going to do real quick is I'm going to go in and do some highlighting on top of the clothing and the accessories. And let's see, where do I start? There's the skin. There's the light pink. So on top of that, new layer, clipping mask, shine, put it back on white. Then you're going to go in and just give a nice little highlight around the edges. And then change the opacity just so it's just bright enough, not too bright. And you're going to go all the way around, just same way that you did on the skin. Now I'm going to do a time lapse and come back when I finish, and then I will show you all the hair tutorial. I know I said that was going to be next, but I forgot about my shines again. Please forgive me. Okay, so now we're on to the hair, and what I like to do for the hair is 2 layers of the multiply, one of the highlight as the shine, and then another layer of shine in a different color, and it'll definitely bring it like all the way out. It makes it look really 3D, and I really like it, and I think it looks super nice. I don't know why there's 2 of these opened. Just realized that. Okay, I'm gonna close that one. Okay, so what I like to do for the first layer I always shade in the eyebrows, and that's the only time you're gonna shade in those eyebrows on the first layer. At least for me. You can add a second layer to the shading for that if you'd like. Then we're just gonna go in and do some strokes to where the hair would flow. And it's just gonna look a little bit like this. Remember to follow your lighting that you had set before. So again, mine is around the upper left. So the lighting is gonna fall and come about this way. There's gonna be some back here. I'm gonna go ahead and shape this all in. Since it's the back of the head, it's least likely to receive any light. And this right here, can shade it in as it comes up. Shade some here to give it more depth because the hair is tucked back behind this other piece of hair. Just gonna give it some quick little strokes. Same thing with the top of the head, just where there's little details, you're just gonna go in and give little strokes. If you go over your line, simply erase it, or you can leave it if you like that look. I personally like it to be really clean. This is going to be going behind that line since the light is coming from over here. Just shade it like that. And then on this side of the head, this hair is in a ponytail, well, pigtails behind the hair. So if you color all this in right about into here, it definitely looks like it's behind that part right here instead of being up in front, and it would definitely just give more detail right here. You can never go too wrong with your shading. Just don't overshade, because if you overshade, then your piece is just gonna look like there's no light, like it's just shadow. You want as much detail to show through as possible. Sometimes less is more. Now back here with these little pieces, I like to just come up and around and then just like that. Now this piece is going to be hidden behind the light. And then these couple little pieces right here, light will come and hit those. Just like that. Now what I like to do is rotate it to the other side. It makes it a lot easier to shade. But just remember to follow your guidelines. So first, just do your little guidelines of where the shadow is going to start in certain little areas. Same with here. Shadow will come to about right there. And then you're going to have the shadow come down from back there around. Probably not that far down, but more like that. And then I like to flip it, go in here, shade all this in. Then I come up here, do some light shading. Right through here. Making it look a little bit 3D or three-dimensional. Shade in here. Shade up here. Round like so. And we're going to come in right here. And then erase the overlapping. And there you have it. Do a little bit more detail right here. I'm going to erase a little here. I'm going to erase right here so I can flatten that out and smooth it out again. And there we go. Now we're ready for the next layer. Just do a little bit more detail there. So open up a new layer, clipping, multiply, throw in your colors, and then adjust how you want the shadow to be. This time I like to leave it pretty high on the multiply because I want the darkest colors to stand out, and it would give a lot more depth for the image. Just do a little more shading in here. Now this piece is lifted up a bit more, so there's going to be some more shading under here. There's definitely going to be some more back here, like so. This bit right here. And then we're going to go in and just give little details here. Shade a little bit into here, and I'll do little strokes right there. Give some small strokes there, here, back here. And then again over here, to make it look even more three-dimensional, you're going to come in and shade all of that in right there. And then just slowly add in your detail. Just like this. Whoops. And then same thing when you flip it back over here, you still have your original guidelines that you had set. So what you're going to do is come back in here and do your darkest parts. So like this, a little bit up in here. This little bit right here would be pretty dark. Right here, since it's right behind that ear, would be pretty dark. Right in here. Back here would be pretty dark. Just erase any over markings, because we don't color in the lines. And here would be pretty dark. And then a little bit in here. And there you have it for the shading. I think that looks really nice. I'm gonna leave that and then open up a new layer, clipping mask, shine, go to white. And this is the fun part. So basically, you're not going to draw these like anywhere you want, but you need to find like a guideline. So I'm going to be doing like a halo kind of effect. So it'd be like in here, a little bit right here, going up, and not like that. Not like that. Come on. Like this. So it kind of makes like a little halo. And you're going to do the same thing on the pigtails. Again, following like a little halo for your guide. And erasing any overhang, because you do not want that. At least I don't want that. And then same thing on this side. Just follow a little halo. Go in here and change your opacity down just a bit. Open up a new layer on a clipping mask. We're going to do it as shine, but this time we're going to choose a bright pink, like super saturated, it's going to be really bright. And then we're going to edit it later on. So I like to go in and do this. And then erase it off of parts that I definitely do not want it in. Like here. In the back of the head. And then we're going to change the opacity on it down just a bit. And it causes it to shine and stand out like really nice, and I really love it. Now, one thing I did forget to do was on the eyeshadow. I kind of did make it want like a shiny vibe to it, kind of like if it was iridescent. And so I'm gonna find that layer, and I'm going to add a little bit more shine to it. I think I put it all the way, yeah, there we go. Okay, so on a new layer and a clipping mask, we're just gonna go in with this bright pink. Do it as a shine. And that's gonna make it look like really sparkly. New layer with the clipping mask, shine again with white. You're gonna use the airbrush and just little bitty dots. And it's gonna make it look sparkly. Now you don't have to do this for chibi work because a lot of people won't notice this bit of detail, but when I'm doing like larger pieces, I do like to include like little bits of glitter and stuff and make my stuff a little sparkly. And it's a lot of fun when you do it that way. And that's it. I hope you all liked the drawing and liked my tutorial. Hopefully you were able to follow along. If there's any other thing that you would like tutorial on, whether it be line art, quick sketching, posing, more in-depth of eyes, just let me know in the comments below and I will see what I can do for you. Thank you so much for requesting me to do this tutorial. I did have a lot of fun making it, and I hope to see you guys again. Please comment, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and I'll see you next time. Jane.